So, the aim of art in Europe was to achieve perfect illusionistic likeness, that is, make it very real, and in Asia to achieve the essence of inner life and spirit. In the Chinese story, the emperor commissions a painting and appreciates its outer appearance, but the artist reveals to him the true meaning of his art. In the Chinese story, the emperor ordered a painting and he appreciates its outer appearance. What all is made in it. He could not understand the spirit, the inner beauty of the painting. But the artist reveals to him the true meaning of his art. The artist tries to reveal, to show him the real hidden meaning of his art. The emperor may rule over the territory he has conquered, but only the artist knows the way within. It is something similar like the emperor may rule over the territory which he has conquered, which he has captured, but only the artist knows the way within. But only the artist knows what is the inner aspect of it. Let me show the way. The Dao, a word that means both the path or the method, and the mysterious work of the universe. The painting is gone, but the artist has reached his goal beyond any material appearance. So, here in the Chinese painting, the artist had said, "Let me show the way." That means he understood the depths of that painting, the real meaning of that painting. And Dao, the word means path or method, and the mysterious work of the universe. Mysterious, something which everyone cannot understand. There's a mystery. It is not open or obvious to everyone. The painting is gone, the painting disappears, but the artist has reached his goal. The artist has gone into the depths of his work. He has achieved his goal beyond any material appearance, beyond any material thing. A classical Chinese landscape is not meant to reproduce an actual view as would a Western figurative painting. Now, in classical Chinese landscape, it does not make something reproduce an actual view, something which is actual, something realistic, as would a Western figurative painting, as a Western painting would. A Western painting would depict natural landscape as it is, whereas the European painter wants you to borrow his eyes and look at a particular landscape exactly as he saw it from a specific angle. Now, the author says that the European painter, he wants you to borrow his eyes. That means he wants you to see things with his perspective as the painter sees it, because he paints what he sees. And when you see that painting, you can know what the artist is trying to show, and look at the particular landscape exactly as he saw it. There are a number of times certain things, they don't really appear very beautiful, but when they are painted by an artist, in the painting they look very beautiful. That is because in the painting we see the thing as the artist sees it. The beauty that the artist has for that thing is visible to us also. Exactly as he saw it from a specific angle. The Chinese painter does not choose a single viewpoint. He does not choose a single viewpoint. His landscape is not a real one, and you can enter it from any point, then travel in it. The artist creates a path for your eyes to travel up and down. Now, whereas the Chinese painter, his painting is not something which is based entirely on realism. His painting is such that you can start looking at that painting from any point you choose, any point the onlooker chooses. And the artist creates a path for your eyes. That is, he creates a path, he makes the painting in such a way, the color choice, the design choice is such that your eye will move according to his work. Then back again. It will move up and down, it will go about on all sides, all corners of the painting, up and down and back again in a leisurely manner. Movement. In a leisurely movement, that is, the onlooker should have leisure time to view the painting. He should have enough time to let his eyes move about in the painting. This is even more true in the case of the horizontal scroll, in which the action of slowly opening one section of the painting, then rolling it up to move on to the other, adds a dimension of time which is unknown in any other form of painting. Now, there's another painting like horizontal scroll, which you open, and gradually when you open, the painting is in a roll, and when you gradually open you open it horizontally, and you view as you open the horizontal scroll section by section, and you need to have some time to look up the painting properly when you open. It also requires the active participation of the viewer, who decides at what pace he will travel through the painting. Now, when the viewer is looking at the painting, it is he who decides how he was going to look at the painting, whether he will look at it, just give a one glance, quickly look at it and keep it, or whether he will look at every part of it in a leisurely manner, understanding what the painter is trying to show. A participation which is physical as well as mental. Physically, you are there, you are opening the scroll, and mentally, you are going through the work of the artist in a leisurely manner. The Chinese painter does not want you to borrow his eyes. The Chinese painter does not want to show you something as he sees it. He wants you to enter his mind. He wants you to search. He wants you to look at the painting and decide yourself as to what the artist is trying to show, what the artist is trying to convey. The landscape is an inner one, a spiritual and conceptual space. So here, in the Chinese painters, the landscape is a inner one. It has a hidden meaning in it, and it is spiritual, conceptual relating to an idea or concept. So you have to understand that by looking at the painting, and how much time you take to see that depends upon the viewer only. This concept is expressed as sanshui, literally mountain water. Now this concept is shown as sanshui, which literally means mountain water, which used together represent the word landscape. When we use the word together, it means the word landscape. More than two elements of an image. These represent two complementary poles reflecting the Taoist view of the universe. Now, this expresses the two elements of an image, and these two elements represent, they are complementary poles. They are complementary poles, that is, completing or supporting each other. Both are supporting or completing each other, reflecting the Taoist view of the universe. And they show the Taoist view of the universe. The mountain is yang, reaching vertically towards heaven. Now, mountain is yang, which is vertical, reaching towards heaven. Stable, warm, and dry in the sun. It is stable and it is warm and it is dry in the sun, while the water is yin, horizontal and resting on the earth. Water will never be vertical, it will always be horizontal only. So it is horizontal. Water is horizontal and resting on the earth. Fluid, it is liquid, moist, and cool. The interaction of yin, the receptive feminine aspect of universal energy. Now, the interaction of yin is receptive, feminine aspect. It is the feminine aspect. Receptive means ready to receive suggestion, abstract understanding, something which is ready to receive. And it is a passive, feminine aspect of universal energy, and its counterpart yang, active and masculine. Its counterpart, the other part is yang, which is active and masculine, is of course a fundamental notion of Taoism. It is the main notion of Taoism. Notion is idea. It is the main idea of Taoism. What is often overlooked is an essential third element. Now, there's a third element which is generally overlooked, the middle void, where their interaction takes place. That is the middle path, the middle vacuum. Void is vacuum, where actually the interaction takes place. This can be compared to the yogic practice of pranayam. We can compare this to pranayam. Breathe in, retain, breathe out. The suspension of breath is the void where meditation occurs. So, when we breathe in and then retain, hold our breath for some time, that is the void where actually meditation occurs. The middle void is essential. This is the most essential part. Nothing can happen without it. Nothing can happen without it. Hence the importance of the white unpainted space in Chinese landscape.